Okay, hi everyone. The last time we talked about the birth of the modern banking industry, and in this video we'll be talking about the first government bank, or the first government central bank. And we'll talk about these four topics. And the first one is the joining of power between the Dutch government and the Dutch spice trade. So we covered the Antwerp Exchange House, and the next development in banking happened about 100 miles north here in Amsterdam. And there were two pieces that came together in Amsterdam, and we're going to talk first about the spice trade. So we had a guy in Amsterdam who, he had a boat, started doing trade, he made a lot of money. Other people realized that this was a good business. They also got boats, they started doing trade, they made a lot of money. And then all of these guys realized one day that if they could work together, they could, share their resources, and it would help them beat out the competition and all the other trade cities, and make them more money. So they established an agreement or a company, and they pooled all of their resources together, and this did allow them to be highly successful, and having access to this pile of money did give them a significant advantage in the trade. So they took this a step further, where they established ownership shares of this company, and this was, these were the first stocks, and then they would sell these shares out to the public, and then this allowed them to collect even more money. So now let's look at how the Dutch government got involved. And the Dutch government, in this case, very much wants to support this company that is so successful, and that's going to be their success will benefit the state. So these two entities here looked at the Antwerp Exchange House as a starting point, and they were going to make some changes to help with their situation. And that brings us to our next topic, which is the power of a government entity to create money out of nothing. So originally in the banking construct, we had gold in the base layer, and there were paper receipts, based on that gold and redeemable for that gold. So now, as part of the banking, as part of this middle layer, as part of the bank, the government now inserted themselves, and there was still a high degree of trust with this happening. And so now the government decides that we're going to issue a loan to this company. We're going to get them, assets that they need, and it's going to help them in their operations. And they considered this loan an asset in the base layer because the company was so successful that they knew that this loan was going to be paid back. They were certain that there was going to be a cash flow coming in based on this business. So it had to do with the creditworthiness of this company, was why that this loan was as valuable as gold. And this is where the money creation comes in, because due to double entry accounting, when you have an asset, you can base a liability off that asset. So using the loan that they created, out of thin air, they issued receipts off of that loan. I mean, this is money. The receipts are the same as money. So this here is the ability for government to create money out of thin air, and they gave this money to this company. So this company essentially got free money. It's very good for the company. And the bank can make other loans against this as well, so that's good for the bank. And then, in addition, all of the money that's going to be coming in from Dutch East India is also going to go to the bank. So this is very much a win-win situation. And there are a few more pieces to this, and we'll get into those now in our last topics. Some standardization items, and then international reserve currency. So instead of using these receipts here, the Bank of Amsterdam adopted these standardized notes, and these notes were very, very similar today to what we would consider cash and money. And also what the Bank of Amsterdam did was they completely outlawed other banks to own gold. They were the only bank that had the authority to own gold, and in effect, this their banking construct, the base layer of that was nothing but paper. So these all of the money in this economy was based on a sheet of paper and based on trust and the Bank of Amsterdam. So this was a lesson that you could have an entire monetary system that was just based on paper and trust. And this was also the first central bank in the sense that any money coming into this area had to go to this bank and be converted into that economy's unit. And in this economy also, there were still smaller banks, so now they were relegated to very minor functions. They were allowed to hold gold, but only for 1 day. They couldn't have gold for more than 1 day. They could have this was the Gilder. This was the Bank of Amsterdam note. They could have those and use those to base their loans off of. And the Bank of Amsterdam, it was very successful. And it wasn't just the new construct, and they were very well trusted. There were lots of reasons, and the Gilder was also very successful. It was widely used, and it also gained a historical status as the first international scale paper reserve currency. And what this means is, the Gilder was accepted very far and very wide. There was a lot of trust in the Gilder to hold its value. So individuals and nations. So individuals and nations, if they had extra currency, they would, or extra money, they would save it in these Gilders. So in conclusion, the Bank of Amsterdam offered many lessons, and one was that the government had the ability to create money out of thin air by issuing these loans and basing liabilities off them, and they could favor a certain business by doing so. And then further, you could have an entire monetary construct that was just based on paper and trust.